What I've learned. I'm like, oh God, I sure hope I nail the close. Here's what I've learned. To close, I've spent my entire life in a neurodivergent body. I have spent a significant amount of my life in a fat body. I have spent, all told, a very small amount of time in a slim body, gained sometimes by deeply unhealthy, disordered eating and obsessive working out, and much, much less time in a body that is learning what it feels like to do all of this healthily, slowly, and sustainably in a way that works with my brain, with my body, instead of against it. I can tell you, as someone who has been on both sides of the equation, that people will absolutely treat you differently. Doctors, service workers, men, parentheses, general. I get more attention, usually unwanted, and it doesn't help that when you're a visibly online person, people really do feel like they can just say whatever they want about your body, because obviously being a content creator means that I'm fair game and I'm asking for it. What is interesting to me, having been both fat and thin, is that the comments don't ever just stop. They just change direction. If you're fat, you need to lose weight, eat better, focus on getting healthy. If you're thin, you need to eat more. You look sick. Is there something wrong? Just eat a sandwich. I've been accused of being selfish and self-involved for being fat. I've been accused of being selfish and self-involved for being thin. It sucks being fat in a system that is fundamentally built on the belief that fat bodies are wrong and bad and cannot possibly be healthy. Fat people deserve access to real care, real diagnostics, real medical treatment, not dismissive, lose some weight and come back and see how you feel. I experienced that firsthand. And the irreparable damage to my body from that dismissal is something that I will never be able to undo. I cannot stress enough how important the fat acceptance and fat liberation movements are in terms of generating equality and care and justice for all bodies, and I will continue to advocate and educate in those spaces regardless of how much I weigh. I also want to acknowledge that all of this comes with privilege. This journey involved privilege. Privilege to access medical care, free time to go on walks and work on getting stronger, privilege to afford the foods and medications that have worked for me, an accommodating husband who has patiently and supportively encouraged me to become the best version of myself, privilege to make my own schedule and choose to spend the past year of my life focusing on getting better and getting healthy. Even on top of that privilege is the hand waving I've done in some of these essays because I just didn't want to bring it up over and over again. But I found a therapist isn't just finding a therapist. It was navigating insurance, getting referrals, cold calling, dozens of practices, being put on wait lists, dealing with cancellation, starting over when someone wasn't the right fit, the executive functioning nightmare of managing appointments and paperwork. It took months and significant mental energy I didn't have to find the person who could help me. I started recovery isn't just starting recovery. It was researching treatment options, finding providers who understood eating disorders and neurodivergence, coordinating between multiple practitioners, managing the emotional labor of explaining my situation over and over, dealing with insurance denials, finding the money and time for appointments. It was never just anything. The administrative burden of getting help is often the biggest barrier that stops people from actually getting the help that they need. All of this took effort. Exponentially more effort for me because of my executive functioning difficulties, and you may very well be in the same boat, dear reader, dear listener. I know what it's like for every phone call to require a week of psyching yourself up, for every appointment requiring multiple reminder systems. I know what it's like for every bit of paperwork to feel insurmountable, and like the deep white hot rage I feel at the just fucking for-profit medical system as a whole. Oh my God. To close, lots of people have asked why I didn't do more content on this. And the real truth is because even as I was working on all of this, even as I was learning to be better, to do better, I was also terrified that I'd fail. I still am, really. What if in a year I gain it all back? What if the medication stops working? What if I can't get access? What if I get injured again? What if next year I'm making a video? What I've learned gaining back 100 pounds? The simple answer is that I didn't want to make content because I didn't want my weight loss to be performative. I didn't want to do it for anyone but me. And knowing that if I started talking about it, I'd have people asking about my progress, how I was doing, offering unsolicited advice, comparing themselves to me, getting mad if I wasn't losing fast enough or too fast or not in the way that they particularly approved of. I didn't want to turn my recovery into a performance. Not everything has to be content. The reason why I finally said anything at all and posted the original post that started all of this is because I'd lost so much weight that people were again making comments and asking intrusive questions. And so I decided that it would be better to address it head on. Otherwise, honestly, I don't know if I would ever have said anything. Could have been a VTuber the whole time. I'm glad I did. I'm glad I said something. I'm grateful for the outpouring of love and support and kindness. I'm so grateful for how many people reached out saying that I described their exact experience, their exact relationship with food, and as someone who usually makes a big point of reminding people that they aren't broken and they aren't alone, I like Uno reversed the situation and wound up having that reminder cast right back onto me, and that felt really good. I've written this piece not because I consider myself a success story, but because I want to let you in on the maybe tough love, harsh reality that all of this is still a process. It's still a learning curve. I am not out here crushing it nonstop. I still have to manually remind myself every day to use the tools that I have. They are not habits. I have to choose. I have to make the decision every day. Sometimes I still have to beg myself to not finish the bag of chips. Sometimes I have to choose to walk out of my house and go on a stupid walk for my stupid mental health and take 5 stupid breaths to calm my stupid nervous systems. And sometimes I fail. This week, I ate a food that was particularly triggering to me. I thought I was in a place where I could handle it. I thought I was in a place where I was safe. And it led to a binging and purging instance. And in that moment, I had to remember that I have built my system around failure, that I have not lost everything, that everything is not ruined, but instead that recovery is a process and fallbacks and setbacks are going to happen. But that all or nothing thinking was really difficult. It was really difficult to navigate. I felt so dumb. I was like, I'm in the middle of recording a video series about how fucking great I am and how much I've recovered. And then the thing happened again, right? And I think what I've learned in this process is that I am often a baffling, contradictory bundle of hard-to-feel emotions. I am simultaneously annoyed, bemused. I'm grateful at all the goofy tricks and silly tools that I've learned and built and developed in order to get through a day without binging. But sometimes, even after all of that, I might fail. But even in that setback, even in that momentary failure, there was something that I'd never had before, which was the ability to move on from it, the ability to forgive myself, the ability to look objectively at the situation and recognize myself not as a failure, but as someone in the process of recovery, a process that is ongoing, a process that I have to manually remember to do every single day. If you take nothing else away from this, dear reader, please let it be this. I want you to know that I really did think change was impossible. That story that I told earlier in the series about the food from the garbage and the dish soap, that was a true story. And in that moment, I genuinely remember thinking that I was too far gone, that if I was doing this, there was no way that I could ever get any better. I remember the first time that I had to turn back from a walk with Bailey because of the pain. I felt, oh boy, I felt like a failure. I felt like the worst dog parent in the world. I felt like a personal failure. All I had ever wanted in my life was to have a dog, and I couldn't even do that right. And I remember the first time I tried to explain interoception to a therapist, and I literally watched them like misspell it as they Googled it. I thought I was never going to find help that actually worked. And I was wrong. And I was wrong not because it was like this magical, easy process, not because I found some magic solution or had some like dramatic, life-changing, transformational moment of like, oh my God, I'm in recovery now. Like I was wrong because I kept trying anyway, even when I was certain it was pointless. I kept showing up to boring physical therapy. I kept searching for a therapist who understood. I kept learning to feel my body even when it was annoying and frustrating and impossible. Very slowly, glacially is the word that I've kept overusing in this essay series. But very slowly, things that seemed completely out of reach became hard, and they became slightly less hard. And then they became something that I could actually do a little bit. Not even very good, just a little bit. And I got a little bit better, and a little bit better, and a little bit better. The day I walked 5 miles, I cried. Not inspirational movie tears, but confused, disbelieving tears, because how the fuck did I get here from not being able to make it to the mailbox with Bailey? And also, it doesn't matter to the story, but I was absolutely with like a new kinky friend, and he was so confused. He was like, "Are you good?" And I was like crying, and he's like, "Do you need a spanking? How can I help you in this moment?" Right? It was very funny. And anyway, that's just part of the story. So anyway, shout out to that person who knows who they are. This is also a true story. The first time that I left half a plate of food and I didn't think about it for the rest of the day, I was riddled with genuine like panic attack anxiety because I thought I was maybe getting a stomach virus, and I hate being sick. I didn't even realize that I was making progress until it kept happening repeatedly for a couple of weeks, and I was like, oh, progress. I'm telling you this, I wrote all of this because if you're reading these essays and you're recognizing yourself, if you're stuck where I was stuck, I need you to know I would not have believed my own story 2 years ago. I would have been resentful of my own story 2 years ago. I would have read this and thought, well, good for you, bitch, but that's not going to be me. Like, wow, good for you. And I would have been wrong. I would have been wrong about that. I encourage you, if you are thinking about taking a step towards bettering your health or improving your mobility, or even just finding better ways to support your neurodivergence and how it shows up in your life, try it. Try it annoyed and mad and angry. Do it with frustration and annoyance and maybe a little self-aware humor. Take the one single tiny impossible step. For me, the biggest step of all was realizing that I have been worthy of the hard work and care and effort and difficulty, that this whole time, what I'd been missing wasn't some secret medication or one-size-fits-all therapy technique. It was simply loving myself enough to believe that I was capable of doing hard things. I am, and you are too. I will confess that I've put a monumental amount of pressure on myself to come up with some dramatic closer that really impresses everything that I want you to know and think and feel, but I think at its heart it can be sort of succinctly summed up thusly. No matter what you choose, dear reader, dear listener, no matter what you decide, I want you to know that I believe in you, that I see you, I believe you, that your experiences and your feelings are valid. And I know how desperately hard it can be. And I hope you know that you are absolutely, positively not alone. Remember to take your meds. Remember to drink some water. Remember to eat a snack. Remember to be kind to yourself. Remember to be kind to others. Remember that kindness is an act of resistance and revolution. And remember that I love you. Thank you all so much for sticking through this video series. This has been something that I frankly was really scared to do. I was really nervous about it. I have learned a lot about myself, I think, even in just like the process of doing this. And I'm really proud of myself for sort of sticking to this one. So I'm really grateful for everybody who has stuck through this with me. And if you have questions or, resources to share, feel free to do that in the comments. But yeah, otherwise, that's the end of this one. I don't know what the next essay series is going to be about, but if you have suggestions, let me know. It's also almost time for the turkey video. It's almost time. Teaser trailer. Here we go. In a world where one man's shitty Christmas gift would become the stuff of legend, one historian with like a weird amount of time on her hands will answer the one question that's been on everyone's mind, definitely for sure, this whole time, coming this Thanksgiving. How big was the turkey in a Christmas gift? The answer might surprise you. This November, dinner is served. And by dinner, I mean the video that I've been promising you guys for like 3 years. I'm finally making it. Hooray. Okay, bye.